Welcome back to Fire Force Anime Review, episode number 36. This I'm viewing the 40th episode of the anime. Yep. Called Mind Blown, and the 247 chapter manga, 200 Years of Obsession. Yep. Now I did look up to see what chapter this episode adapted from. And adapted from looks like from chapters 140 to 143. Which, that's interesting, to say the least. Oh yes, that is interesting. Now, is there any changes this episode? No. Not really. They stick pretty close to the original manga. I mean, I think they changed one visual perspective per se, but otherwise they stick pretty much closely from what I can tell. Mostly pick up exactly where last week's episode left off. Where, we have a few different scenarios going. We have where we have Maki and I believe, Maki taking on the Puppeteer, who is voiced by, once again, by Monica Rio, and of course, then come members the White Clad Soldiers. By the way, Arrow is with the Second Pillar. Second Pillar basically does some fighting, and of course, she does something really weird to Arrow. It's like, oh, you're not good enough to beat the bodyguards, act like the way she talks. She didn't like how she talked to her, so she proceeds to almost shred her clothing. Arrow's clothing, exposing part of her breast, showing off her face for the first time in the series, because Arrow's face mostly been hidden throughout most of the series. And, yeah. Why don't you give you a vibrating massage? And then the Puppeteer's like, is that electricity I see? And then, of course, okay, so apparently Maki and the Puppeteer just put differences aside, just fight the White Clad Soldiers. It was kind of the same thing with Shinra and Kenshiro, I think his name is, the guy who's basically obsessed with basically beating up little kids. Yeah, they put their differences aside because the White Clad Soldiers are here. Also, I believe the Second Pillar, her bodyguard did this. Actually, no, it was Inka's bodyguard did this, where she takes a firebug, gives it a security guard, and forms a Titan. Yeah, and somehow it merges with the Sixth Pillar, which they play sort of like playing. It's like playing football with this one character. First Captain Obi has him, and then excuse me. I think it's Intro. I think his name is the guy who's Inka's bodyguard. Has him there, and then of course Shinra and Arthur get him, and then eventually, of course, he turns into Titan. As for Arthur, his role in the episode is simply this. Now, his way he's portraying the manga and in this episode of the way they adapt here, no change. What does he do? Aside from catching it, he's calling Vulcan right back of his, let's say his Mach 5 racing car. I'm sure he probably found someone that built this damn thing. How would he know what this thing even looks like? Because it's been a couple hundred years since anybody's seen what some of these cars even look like. So he proceeds to right back of his saying hi ho Silver, wow, that's not a King Arthur reference. That is a Lone Ranger reference. Yeah, for some reason they made Arthur, because he's basically a Night King, and they obsessed with basically now not only King Arthur, but also the Lone Ranger for some reason. I have no idea why. Nobody in King Arthur ever say, hi-ho, Silver, away! Yeah, I thought that was kind of weird. And then he proceeds to, right on top of the matchbox, which I appreciate the anime give a little more brighter perspective on how this scene is portrayed. We see that not close up like it is in the manga with the matchbox. So apparently there's a hole on top of it. Same hole they used to get out top of the matchbox. So he proceeds to use his sword, punch it through, just knock out the Second Pillar. Yep, that's all he was brought there to do. Was to use his sword, which Vulcan made mistake believes, this is Legendary Sword Excalibur, even though it really isn't, just a plasma sword. That's really all this is, a plasma sword, which is what it is. And they succeed in knocking her out, and then throughout the rest of the episode, we have Inka's bodyguard, the Second Pillar's bodyguard shows up, fights alongside Shira because, his job to protect the pillars. Shira's pillar, despite the fact he's an enemy, they protect him from this Titan Inferno. Yep. And that's the episode. It's a quite interesting episode, to say the least, and it's shocking to see that, unlike last week's episode, they received some changes. This one didn't receive much changes from what I can tell. No, not really. I mean, it's shocking, though, the English dub managed to keep it a lot of the English translated material when it comes to this very episode. And, well, pretty much that's much else to say about the episode. It's really good. Now moving on to chapter manga. 250 years of obsession. First, you have this cover image of a talking firebug who doesn't speak, anyways. And then we see that we open up straight to Vulcan and Lisa, and I think his name is Lou. Where they're talking to Giovanni. Also, Lisa is there confronting, and of course, Licht is there. Yes, Victor Licht. He is there. And we have the Fire Force taking on a bunch of Infernos. And we also have Lisa going into her octopus form that she last assumed way back in the Netherwood arc. Taking on Giovanni. And oh yeah, your family with the Joseph clan helped build Amaterasu. Yeah, he explains to him like, Vulcan built this place. I'd like you to use it as tool of destruction. Frederick Amaterasu was used to bring about a cataclysm. Then why my ancestors had the key. 250 years ago, the Joseph clan helped us build the Amaterasu. Us? Who are you talking about? During Amaterasu, those who found Hydra separate spearheaded the group that built it. My ancestors here participated in the project. Both of our ancestors were responsible for power generation. By your family, the Josephs. See, look like this creature inside. So it's like looks like fools hit the true key of power. So my line has monitored yours since the day time came. Monitored Gramps, the old man who you murdered them both by terminating Infernos. Like calls him a monster. It's like, we gave you the power of science. You would turn against the foolishness against me. At least I was crying. Then of course she swords in the way, sheds it off. It's like, you good? What's with his body? It's all bugs. That wrinkly blackness, nothing but insects. You're right, I'm with you. I've got a plan, we can do this together. You got? Yep. And we see him basically just moving his arm back and forth, which takes him out. Like, do you remember Feller? Okay. Lisa, stick a tentacle in this. And he's like, and of course Giovanni's like, foolishness. I've done my research on the Adola bugs. They act as sensing magnets fields through organic humans. I'm going to destroy your ability to detect and command them. What? And, well, he's gone. Yep, well, kind of anyways. There's a little bit of him left. Lisa's part of the destructive magnetic field, and now I only bugged with his destroyer. That's your real form. Pathetic. Wow, and no new chapter next week. That's interesting. Yeah, so they kind of in the way got rid of Giovanni in this chapter. That's interesting. After he's been around for quite a while, it's like, oh, he's just gone now. Well, not exactly gone per se. It's like, oh, apparently his true form is just a head. Okay, fine, whatever. Gotta admit, this actually was a pretty good chapter. I mean, it's basically a bit of revelations exactly what exactly happened with Vulcan's family. But all in all, damn good chapter. I gave it roughly 9 out of 10. Nothing really shocking this chapter, just surprised, like, oh, Giovanni's a bug. Okay, fine, whatever. But yeah, good chapter. And, well, interesting that we kind of almost wrapped up this story with Giovanni. Yeah, the way this arc goes, the way this currently being portrayed, it almost seems like this is the last arc of the series. But the writer himself has never actually said anything about it. That's the way the thing is portrayed. It's like the final arc of the series because we're building up to something that basically the series built since the start of it. I think it was kind of the same thing with Black Clover as well, but the series kept going. Yeah, the series kept going after an arc they've been building to since, like, the introduction of the I Midnight Suns for that series. This one, basically, there's not much a sign of an ending, but it seems as though I think the writer's trying to wrap up all loose ends he can before it gets to a certain point in the series. I mean, this is only chapter 247. I would say by next month they'll reach 250. Would it reach 300 next year? No, I don't think reach 300 probably starts about 2022. Yeah. But they say, like, no new chapter. Probably no new chapter. Probably because it's New Year's. It's possible, to say the least. Yeah, but not much else to say this episode. Stay here. It's good. Can't wait for next episode. No, I don't think I'll get time to Kate's Ghost Night. So I'll probably do it tomorrow along with One Piece and Boruto and My Hero Academia. Okay? See you next video. Bye.